I'm reviewing New York City Department of Buildings Building Code, Chapter 33, Safeguards During Construction or Demolition, Subsection 3304, and I'm starting with 3304.2, Support of Excavation Drawings. The sides of all excavations, including related or resulting embankments, shall be supported as specified on drawings. Such drawings shall be site-specific and shall clearly illustrate all related protection and support of excavation, including but not limited to sloping, stepping, sheeting, shoring, bracing, guardrail systems, and fences as required by Section 3304.4 with all dimensions indicated. Such drawings shall also indicate any utilities or public infrastructure impacted by the excavation. The drawings shall be prepared by a registered design professional who has demonstrated knowledge or experience in the design of retaining structures or bracing systems for the support of excavation. Drawings for the support of excavation are not required for an excavation if that occurs 5 feet or less in depth, provided that the excavation occurs more than 5 feet from all footings or foundations. 2. Where the excavation occurs within 5 feet or less from a footing or foundation. Such excavation does not occur below the level of the footing or foundation. 2. Where the sides of the excavation are sloped, not steeper than 45 degrees, or stepped on so that the average slope is not steeper than 45 degrees, with no step more than 5 feet high, provided such slope or step begins at least 5 feet from all footings and foundations. 3. Where a trench box is utilized in accordance with the manufacturer specs, provided that the manufacturer specs are available on site. Then you got another exception too. Support of excavation drawings can be prepared by a qualified person for an excavation occurring in conjunction with the construction or demolition of an exterior in-ground pool, provided such pool is an accessory to a 1, 2, or 3 family home, is limited to 400 square feet in area, and provided that the distance from the edge of the pool to any building structure or lot line is greater than the depth of the deepest portion of the pool. 3. Where demolition drawings are required by Section 3306.5, separate support of excavation drawings for the removal of the foundation are not required, provided such detail is shown on the demolition drawings. And then moving on to 3304.3.1, notification to the department. No soil or foundation work within the property line shall commence unless the permit holder, or where there is no permit holder, the person causing the soil or foundation work to be made, notifies the department via phone or electronically at least 24 hours, but no more than 48 hours prior to the commencement of such work. The notification shall state the date that such soil or foundation work is to commence. Should the notification date fall on a weekend or holiday, the permit holder shall notify the department on the last business day before the commencement date. In the event that the soil or foundation work does not begin on the date provided in the notification to the department, the permit holder, or where there is no permit holder, the person causing the soil or foundation work to be made, shall notify the department of its cancellation not more than 24 hours prior, but no later than the date to which the soil or foundation work was scheduled. Should the cancellation date fall on a weekend or an official holiday, the permit holder, or where there is no permit holder, the person causing the soil or foundation work to be made, shall notify the department on the next business day after the intended commencement date. The permit holder, or where there is no permit holder, the person causing the soil or foundation work to be made shall notify the department of a new intended commencement date pursuant to the provisions above. The Commissioner may issue a stop work order if there is a failure to provide notice as required. Upon the issuance of such stop work order, the work shall be stopped for a minimum of 3 business days to enable the department to take any other appropriate action to ensure that the earthwork is being performed in a safe manner. The earthwork shall not recommence until the stop work order has been lifted. It looks like notification to the department as an exception is not required for the following. 1, if you got a hand excavation work that extends 5 feet or less in depth and is 2 feet or more from an existing footing or foundation. The exception shall not apply to any hand excavation work performed where existing or demolished basements or cellars that adjoin existing foundations. The second one is excavations for a geotechnical investigation that do not exceed 10 feet in length, width, or diameter that are conducted under the supervision of a registered design professional. Section 3, emergency work performed by the Department of Housing Preservation and Development or other agency as directed by the Commissioner, or work on unsafe buildings performed by the Department of Housing Preservation and Development or other agency pursuant to a precept. Section 4, exception, soil or foundation work related to gardening or landscaping work, provided no excavation occurs to a depth greater than 5 feet. 5, exception, soil or foundation work related to the pouring of a slab or pavement, providing no excavation is greater than 2 feet, occurs in conjunction with such work. And the last exception, where notification is required by Section 3306.3, separate notification for the removal of a foundation is not required. Okay. Next, 3304.3.2, notification of adjoining property owners. When an excavation to a depth of 5 feet to 10 feet is made within 10 feet of an adjacent footing or foundation, or when any excavation over 10 feet is to be made anywhere on a site, the person causing the excavation to be made shall provide written notice to the owners or the adjoining property not less than 10 days prior to the scheduled starting date of the excavation. The written notice shall provide a description of the work to be performed, the time frame and schedule, and contact information of the person causing the excavation and of the department. Exception, notification is not required where the excavation is set back from the edge of the adjacent footing or foundation or adjoining property by a ratio of 2 horizontal to 1 vertical as measured from the deepest point of the excavation. Moving on to 3304.3.3, notification to the Department of Environmental Protection. Whenever soil or foundation work for any purpose is proposed to a depth greater than 50 feet in the borough of the Bronx, or on the north of 135th Street in the borough of Manhattan, or greater than 100 feet in the borough of Brooklyn, Queens, or Staten Island, or south of 135th Street in the borough of Manhattan, the owner of the premises, engineer, architect, or contractor shall notify the New York City Department of Environmental Protection prior to the commencement of such activity and any rules promulgated. The issuance of any permit or approval by the department shall not relieve the applicant, owner, engineer, architect, or contractor of the obligation to comply with any notification or permitting requirements. And now we're going to notification requirements for DEC. 3304.3.4 Excavations requiring permit from the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation. Whenever drilling or excavation is planned deeper than 500 feet below grade, a permit may be required from the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation. The issuance of any permit approval by the department does not relieve the applicant of the obligation to comply with any approval or permitting requirements. Whenever drilling or boring or geothermal wells is planned, the owner of the premises or the contractor shall notify the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation prior to the commencement of such activity to determine if a permit is necessary. Moving on to notification 3304.3.5, notification and permit requirements to the New York City Transit Authority and the Metropolitan Transit Authority and the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey. Whenever an excavation of any depth is proposed within 200 feet of any subway or tunnel under the jurisdiction of the NYC TA and the MTA or the Port Authority, an approval and permit shall be obtained from such authority having jurisdiction. The owner of the premises or the contractor shall notify the authority having jurisdiction prior to commencement of such activity. It's all the same. I'm going to move on the next video to 3305. Stay tuned.